the scene at Vandy on Saturday. So it was wild. And Paulie joked, he goes, does Vandy have a victory formation? And I go, they're going to win this game. And it was a clean win. It wasn't fluky. They played well. Their quarterback, Diego Pavia, is going to join us coming up top the next hour. Todd's been yelling at me. You said Pavia, it's Pavia.
I could see why you would say that, and I've heard mispronunciations, so we checked with Vanderbilt, and it's supposedly the first syllable is what you accent.
Okay, fair enough. So, but you're watching that game, and I just kept thinking, Alabama, you don't have that switch that you're going to flick on here because this team, you could see the confidence level with Vandy. They're like, damn, like we're going to, we're making them nervous. And then all of a sudden you realize they were, and then they closed them out. I mean, you want to say it's a fluke because they're 23.5-point underdogs, but that game was not a fluke to them. The way they played, and it was just one of those weekends in college football, and it feels like you have one of those every year where it's like, how many teams are losing? Big-time teams where you go, wait a minute, that's happening? Now, I said that USC, I thought Minnesota would win straight up with USC. I thought Cal was going to beat Miami, and they were. Michigan is in trouble because Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. Tennessee shocked me as well against Arkansas. Keep an eye on the service academies. We keep telling you this. Army and Navy both won. What if one ends up undefeated this year? Are they going to get in? Because 12-team playoff. Now, they both play Notre Dame on a neutral field, so Notre Dame could end up beating both of them. But, you know, you're watching some of these matchups, and you could afford this now. If this was the old system, then all of a sudden we'd be like, well, that team's out. That team doesn't have a chance. But it feels like even with one loss, maybe even two losses, but you're going to have to win. You're going to have to win your conference. That'll be the key. Yes, Paulie.
I think because both Army and Navy are in the AAC, hard-hitting conference, the American Athletic Conference. If they're both, I think they could play on December 6th in the conference championship and then play the following week on December 14th in the normal Army-Navy game. I'm checking this.
Back-to-back?
I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to find a correction, but it looks like they could play back-to-back.
6 top 25 teams lost to unranked opponents. Last time that happened was 2018. And then 4 teams ranked 11 or higher lost to unranked teams. Last time that happened was 2016. You know, that kind of turned college football on its ear a little bit over the weekend. But it was fun. And these are those games where you go into a weekend, you go, nah, I don't know if that's going to be any good. I don't know if that's going to be. Like I was searching, I thought Washington and Michigan at Washington. I expected Washington to win that game. It wasn't an interesting game. Tennessee, Arkansas, I thought Tennessee is real. Like, okay, they're back. They're not back. Iowa scored a touchdown against Ohio State.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think they were down 7-0 at halftime, 14-7, something like that. And I thought, all right, Iowa. And then all of a sudden that disappeared. But you're looking around, Missouri against A&M. I'm like, what is happening here? Missouri, what are you doing? So it's just one of those any given Saturdays where it's that team's day or night, and you got to see that. All right, we'll get to do some phone calls here. What was the worst loss of the weekend? Do we want to include college football in that with Tennessee and Missouri and Michigan? I mean, Cal had that game.
I was going to say, I would put Cal in there for sure because they had it.
They had game day. They had atmosphere. They had everything.
Yeah.
I read an article on Yahoo Sports, and I sent it to Paulie.
Oh, yeah, that's awful. That's terrible.
And it was like Cal, closes out Miami, blah, blah, whatever. And you could tell the person who wrote the article prior to the end of the game. Because And Cal never looked back, or Cal never trailed. And I'm like, oh my God, how did this get through the editor? Yes,
it is funny how, like, you don't think about it, but there's writers in the press box who are covering the game who have already written their entire story, and then there's like a pick six, and you're like, oh, great. My whole story has just got, I just wrote this whole thing about how the Steelers were beating the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Now I got to rewrite this whole thing.
Todd, did you hear that?
Rewriting the whole thing.
No, he cursed.
Oh,
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
we could wink at that.
Back row. Let's go. We curse now. We curse now.
But I know they're on deadline and there's an early edition or whatever. But that's I don't understand how they can possibly get through.
Well, I would love to, and I said this to Dan Shaughnessy at the Boston Globe. I said, I would love for you to publish columns that you've written covering all those Boston teams. You know, in 2003, you know, that he put them to bed, and then they come back and they end up winning. But I would love to have a columnist in, you know, major markets covering sports where you wrote something and it turned out differently. I think that would be, it'd be interesting to get those columns to see what was going to be written had they not, you know, won this game. Yes, Marv.
You think somebody from Seattle has it saved up as Marshawn Lynch is at the 1 yard line?
And then you had Saban with Marshawn Lynch on game day saying, I would have given you the ball. I would have given your bleep the ball at the goal line. I'm like, wow. And Nick Saban taking a shot at Pete Carroll. And then Marshawn Lynch is like, yeah. I'm like, what are we doing here? You know, why am I not getting the ball at the goal line?